What is going on, guys? Buff Metal back with another video. The topic of today's rant, zombies. So I was cruising around, man. Weather's getting good, so the gore grind is coming out. I was blasting HEMDALE's Rad Jackson, and I was looking at that album cover, man. First of all, that's one of my favorite grind albums of all time, man. Not that I'm a super well-versed dude in grind or whatever, but gosh darn is that album phenomenal. So I was out there cranking that, driving windows down, I'm feeling good, summer vibes are rolling in, and I saw the album cover, and it got me to thinking, man, like, it's the zombie from the movie Zombie, you know, that's like the summer horror movie I watch every year, you know, Zombie. It takes place on an island, you know, Haitian island or something like that, and it's all about voodoo ritual. But then it got me thinking about zombies, man, and a lot of the rants that I've been going on lately have had to do with symbolism and kind of like occultism and stuff like that, and the purpose behind devils and demons and Satan and stuff. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about zombies, man, because I got to thinking, right? And again, here we are live at the grave. What a better place to talk about zombies, right? You know, well, actually, there's one place that could be better. You know, if you want to talk real zombies, how about the mall? Let's talk about Dawn of the Dead, man. Something that I think about in that movie all the time is, what was that movie trying to tell us about people, sheeple even, you know? I love the concept that even when people are zombies, they are no longer amongst the living, they are the living dead, you know? Where do they go? Back to the damn shopping mall. Why? Because it's all they know. All they know is consuming. All they know is, you know, basically nothing, because they're thoughtless. They are as lifeless and thoughtless in death as they are in life, you know? And I feel like that's a really interesting thing to think about, you know, just because, you know, let me talk to the metalheads here, you know, all us metal guys. I just want to say, like, I don't think any of us ended up in extreme metal on accident. Like, you don't just accidentally get into an album like HEMDALE's Rad Jackson, right? You don't just happen to find it on the radio one day and go, oh, this is kind of cool. Let me check out the... No, dude, you chose this. Some rabbit hole you went on led you into where you are now, right? And I think that's the coolest thing about extreme metal, man. There has to be some thoughtfulness, excuse me, put into the fact that you listen to what you listen to. This is not mass produced. This is music for a very select few, you know, group of a few individuals. You know, it's for a couple certain kinds of minds, right? And basically, yeah, I see the caretaker. I don't know if he's eyeing me or whatever. Beat it, you know. But basically, man, yeah, dude. So I was thinking about that, right? I don't know, like, it does feel like there's a lot of zombies walking amongst us just in the day-to-day, you know, like, and I think it's a powerful metaphor, especially when you take that Dawn of the Dead analogy, but you take it on, you know, for vacations. I'll tell you a dog story. The one time I met J-Dog, right? One of the first things I said to him was, you know, this is me and my wife's first vacation, actually, in which it was, you know, I've been with my wife for about, you know, the past 10 years, you know, ish, and dude, it was like the first vacation we had taken alone anywhere was to go see Dead by Dog. You know, I was like, we have to do it. So packed up the car, go on a road trip, right? And it was awesome. And he was just like, damn, dude, what, you don't get out much or something? And I was like, well, honestly, man, not really. I kind of hate the idea of tropical vacations. None of that interests me. You know, I'm not really the kind of dude, as you can imagine, who is just trying to sit around and sip Mai Tais on the beach. That always seemed like it was just for the masses, for the zombies, you know what I mean, to me, and I never really had any interest. Now, you tell me that there's a death metal festival in a bowling alley in Ohio, you got my attention, you know what I'm saying? I think that is infinitely cooler, personally, you know, because it's just more of a unique experience, but yeah, for some reason, oh shit, there are some big ass bugs out here. For some reason, man, I don't know, it just doesn't do anything for me. All that well water, the stuff for the masses, and I think that is one of the things that draws me into extreme music and extreme metal to begin with, right? Is the idea that, well, this isn't going to be for you, dude. As a matter of fact, this probably isn't for you, you know? Like, the minute you hear, let's say, take Delicious Gory Fun, right? The intro track on Rad Jackson. Delicious Gory Fun. Delicious Gory Fun. How many people are going to stick around and actually, like, be like, down after that for the rest of the album, all the way to that awesome cover, the cover they do at the end of Curse the Gods. Oh my God, man, that is one of my favorite Jim songs of all time. And, you know, that's just one of those albums, man, that I think you could play on loop over and over and over again, which is, I mean, that album's just it's the Exhumed HEMDALE split, you know, the HEMDALE side. That is one of my favorite albums in extreme music ever. I think Red Jackson with all the bonus stuff just makes it 10 times even cooler, you know, and every version of it's been awesome. So yeah, man, the Exhumed side, don't sleep on that either, man. Exhumed is another great band. Again, dude, talk about a band that's makes you want to grab the old chainsaw and, you know, I don't even know, hunt some zombies or something. You know, not saying that, you know, in the metaphorical way either, you know, like just clear in the air about that. I am not going to grab a chainsaw and go hunt things that I consider to be zombies. All right? Let's not confuse the metaphor here. I just like the idea that, you know, from the Romero films to the Lucio Fulci films, you know, that there is you know, the survivors are surrounded by the undead, right? All of us who are in extreme metal, extreme music, these people, we're all looking for a bit of life, right? I think out of stuff. I think that is kind of the coolest thing, you know? I think the cops are coming for me. Yeah, I think the coolest thing is that, man, is that it seems like people make the conscious choice to be here. They aren't just like, oh, well, they played this song at a bar the other day and it sounded pretty good to me, so I'm going to listen to that. Nah, man, this ain't that kind of thing, you know? So yeah, I just wanted to kind of come on here, spitball about zombies, dude, because I think it's very interesting. And so, my favorite zombie movies, let me give you a top couple here. Lucio Fulci, Zombie, you know, that's the subject of the video today, right? Dawn of the Dead, the original. Dawn of the Dead, the remake, I grew up on that one, man. Absolutely awesome. Return of the Living Dead, which has one of the best soundtracks of all time, man. I spin that constantly. I've posted, you know, about it before. Again, if you don't follow the Instagram, I post that album on there all the time. Me and my wife listen to it constantly. It's always on rotation. But yeah, man. So yeah, dude, go check those out if you haven't. Give me some deep cut zombie movies, though. What are the ones like we haven't seen a million times over? I could use a few more of those, you know. I'm trying to think of more. I mean, I guess Dead Alive is kind of a zombie movie. Not really a deep cut, you know. Everyone seems to like Dead Alive, but goddamn, that one. Peter Jackson, shout out to you. Obviously, The Lord of the Rings is like probably my favorite trilogy, you know, especially in like the fantasy world. I don't get down with most of that shit, but dude, real men know what's good with Lord of the Rings. But anyways, man, yeah. That's my rant on zombies, metal, the masses. Give me some movie recs. What should I watch? You know, what should I listen to? What are albums that make you think of zombies? You know, I'll throw one more out there that I actually do like from a new band, Fulci's Tropical Sun. I know it's got a slight core tinge to it a little bit, you know, and it's that new death metal. And I hear you, man. I hear you, but I don't know. I like that album. Obviously, everything Cannibal Corpse does will always make you think of zombies. But I think the most zombified version of Cannibal Corpse is going to be probably Eaten Back to Life. You know what I mean? That one really has that, like, almost like that thrashy. It just sounds like the undead are here and they're here to feast, you know? But anyways, give me zombie movie recs. Give me zombie album recs. And, dude, stay amongst the living, all right? Don't dip your toes into the dead. Don't wander into the masses, man. People are always going to try and dilute the spirit. Keep that metal spirit high. Fucking charge forth against the hordes, you know? And as always, man, hoo hoo.